All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I'm here to read you the news. I'm here to read you the news from European media. I'm doing this as a service to both Europeans and Americans because right now there's a massive chasm between America and Europe, and there's no good reason that there should be. Like, we ought to be friends. We should be supporting each other. We should be working for the same thing, but we're not. Is it Trump's fault? Is it Europe's fault? Is it like why? What's the reason why? I would argue it's because of the media. The media is the enemy of the people on both sides, and they're lying through their teeth, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, or they're lying. I think mostly they're lying, but I think a lot of the journalists have no clue what's going on. They think they do, but they're just looking at the surface of things, and they're not realizing what's actually happening. So, and they just hate everything Trump, and that blinds them. They're just pure TDS, as we call it, Trump derangement syndrome. So it's a very unfortunate, and it's can potentially sink both sides. I don't think it's going to sink America. I'm very long America, but it's definitely not looking good for Europe. And I'm from Europe. I'm Danish, so I have skin in this game, and I don't want Europe to die. I don't want, although Europe. I mean, Europe seems to be very intent on committing suicide right now, economically, with immigration, their fight with America, EU, all of these things, and I hope that we don't. I really hope that we don't. I have kids there. I have obviously lots of family there. I really don't want to see us succumb, to see us die. So let's get into today's article. This is an opinion piece from Berlingske, editorial from Berlingske, which is one of the top newspapers in Denmark, if not the top. Let's see what Grok says, actually. Where does Berling rank in terms of newspapers in Denmark? I think in terms of newspaper distribution, let's say, or readership. Let's say readership. Let's see what it says. This says generally regarded as Denmark's leading paper. It's one of the most prominent newspapers, considering ranking among the top in terms of readership. It's been part of the big three, alongside Jyllands-Posten and Politiken. Can rank fluctuate. So yeah. 2022, Politiken was top, and then Jyllands-Posten and Berlingske. So, yeah. Anyway, so it's top three for sure, right? So here we go. Berlingske believes now we have to charge for helping Trump. Maybe I make this a little bit bigger, make it easier for you guys to read and follow along. Europeans should be as selfish as Trump has been. So right here, already here, they're telling you that Trump has been selfish, right? They're projecting, they're not arguing for why he has been, they're just telling you. And they're taking that as the premise, as the basis, and then building on top of that. So, and this is how it works all the time. They sneak this stuff in so that you just accept the premise that, of course, he's selfish. What if he's not? What if he's actually not? Like, what would a selfish Trump do? Like, billionaire, famous, beautiful wife, beautiful family. He could retire, live on a beach, and just be fine, right? He could do that. That would be selfish. Instead, he decided to run for president because he sees America being in a death spiral, and he wants to fix that. He wants to help make America great again, because right now there's a lot of fucking problems. And so he sacrificed a lot. He's lost money. He's lost friends, obviously. He's lost business. He's almost lost his life, right? 2 attempts at his life. That is another perspective that's arguably equally as true, is that he's the most selfless leader that America has had in recent memory, right? But no, that's not what we're being taught here. So just right there is the first fucking sentence and in the subhead, and you see how we're already being manipulated into a specific point of view, and this is all the time. Why should the EU lift a finger for the US in the tariff war against China if the US does not completely drop the punitive tariffs on Europe? All right, so several things to unpack here. Well, Um, First of all, let's start with the punitive tariffs on Europe. Why did Trump? Why does Trump complain about Europe, and why does Trump complain about Europe's trade barriers? Why? Is it just because he's an idiot and selfish and he doesn't care about you or anything other than himself and just wanting to like whatever, blah, blah, blah? Or is it that there is something to it? Right? Have you seen an article in your European newspapers that talk about like what is the Europe actually doing? Let's break it down. Let's see what the reality is here, like in terms of tariffs, but also in terms of all kinds of non-tariff trade barriers. We know that the EU was created, or actually the European community was created precisely because there were barriers to trade between the countries within Europe. That was the point, the whole inner market thing, where they were like, well, countries have to change their laws. Like you can't have different laws for how this screw should be, or this cucumber should be, or this can should be, or whatever, because those are trade barriers and they're now illegal. So the EC was commanding, and now the EU can command individual so-called sovereign nations. They used to be sovereign. They're now no longer sovereign nations, obviously, because we have the EU that can dictate countries what laws they need to change. So now they're obviously no longer sovereign. And so, which just makes it even more crazy that we want to fight for like Ukraine sovereignty, but leave that aside. So, so one point of view is like, one is that you're hallucinating that, well, EU is such a good partner, such a good player on the international scene, that they didn't just remove the internal trade barriers, they removed trade barriers completely for anyone, anywhere in the world to sell to the EU market. No tariffs, no technicalities, no trade barriers whatsoever. I don't think that that's what happened, because we saw what happened with Brexit, where they didn't treat UK very well, and it hasn't been very easy for them. So can we assume that when outsiders want to sell into the EU, that there are barriers? So there's a book here written by Robert Lighthizer. He was on Tucker the other day. I highly recommend that you watch that interview. Here, Bob Lighthizer.
So you've seen
Everything you need to know about Trump's tariffs and fixing Americans' working class. That was 3 weeks ago. Highly recommend that you go watch that. I bought this book after watching that. I haven't read it. Like, I buy a shit ton of books and I don't have time to read all of them. But I'm very interested. But basically, like you see in the title, no trade is free. So there are lots of ways that trade can be not fair or not free. But these guys are not talking about any of that. They're just saying, well, these tariffs are punitive. They're just because Trump is selfish and he just wants to punish us for no good reason. And so why should we help him in the tariff war against China? And so let's talk about China, because from everything that I've heard and seen from like people who've written books about it and studied this, and people who do business in China and everyone else, China is such a like ruthless, disgusting player. I was actually just this morning on YouTube. Let me see if I can find that. Stop that. Here we go. History. I was just watching this clip. Let me see if you have audio for this. I don't think we're system audio. Oh, yeah, maybe you do. What was it? This one. Uber CEO Travis Kalanick talks about competing in China. Go find this short. And I don't know what's going to happen if I play it. Go find it. It's a short, but basically he's saying when he was doing Uber in China, they would just ruthlessly copy everything that they did. They worked so hard on figuring out how to do different things. And then 3 weeks later, the Chinese competitor just copied everything, like completely. And I've seen stories on like what was who was it on X? Kevin O'Leary, right? Saying that he's done China 400%. So he's saying, actually, like, you should slap a 400% tariff on China because they're so freaking unfair. Go find that clip. They're so freaking unfair in their and he does a lot of business in China, and it's going to hurt his businesses a lot. But China's just not a fair player, and we've known this for decades. They completely violate patents. They completely violate copyright laws. They just completely steal. They have spies everywhere, right? That are working. They have CCP operatives everywhere in the businesses, but they have spies everywhere in the world, like finding trade secrets and then bringing them back to China and then copying them at a lower rate. And I've heard many people who are on X and other places as well who do business in China, who have manufacturing in China, that they have a product that they're selling on Amazon, right? It's doing amazing. And it's manufactured in China. Now that manufacturer will actually, or someone else in China will actually file a copyright lawsuit saying that they have the right, and then they'll shut down the American, and then they'll start selling the thing on Amazon, and Amazon does nothing about it. So like, this notion that it's like the U.S. tariff war against China, and that the EU should do something for, like, what about the EU does something for the EU? Like, why? What about maybe the EU should be a little bit selfish here and say, like, actually, like, we don't want China to do this, right? We don't want to enable China to just steal intellectual property and kick everybody else out. Like, and this is what they do, right? They will take over a market, completely undercut everybody else, and then let everybody else go bankrupt, and now they have the market to themselves. This is what they're doing over and over and over again. Look into it. Look into it. China's not a good player. And so why would these guys, just because they're small-minded and selfish and egotistical and being little babies over Trump, actually taking this on, so they're like, well, now we shouldn't help him, even though it's going to actually destroy ourselves. So you see how the EU, the Europe, is constantly on this suicide mission out of this like weird, selfish way of looking at things. So now they have the photo of Trump with his back and like blah, blah, blah. President Trump has turned his back on his declaration of economic independence for 90 days. Well, that's one way to interpret it. The other way to interpret it is that it's working, right? Again, like, no, because I am the editor-in-chief of like a big Danish newspaper, Denmark, which has all of like 5.5 or 6 million people, like, or at least, and a bunch of whom are immigrants that we don't know why they're there, but hey, anyway, and like, I know the answers, I know the facts, yay, I know much better than Trump. And what is Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, who's made billions with this hedge fund, and like all these other people that are advising. Of course, we know better. We know what's going on. Like, these people are idiots. They're morons, obviously, right? Like, see the like just the sheer hubris in this. Like the sheer. I mean, they're so inflated. All right. So maybe what happened wasn't that he turned his back on it, but he demonstrated that he was willing to act. He demonstrated actually that he was willing to stay the course, because in the beginning everybody's like, you got to back out, and then he's like, no, I'm good. And then he does back out, like, or puts a pause on it when everybody comes to him and is like, we're actually ready to talk. But the one country that wasn't was China, right? So that shows you who's a reasonable player that's willing to have a conversation about all of these, unfair trade barriers. Remember back to this book here, and who wasn't. China is the one that wasn't. Now we know who's a friend. Now we know who's a foe, right? That's one way to look at it. That's actually what the government has said. That's what I think Scott Bessent said exactly that. Now we know who's a friend and who's a foe. So, like, Trump just wants to rewrite the balance of trade, and his argument is that it's been very unfair for a long period of time. And he doesn't blame other people for that. He blames previous administrations for it, and he wants to restore it. If you disagree with that, show us where he's wrong, right? Don't just lash into these childish, like, oh, he's being selfish. Like, show us where he's actually wrong in his argument. And I'm not saying that he's right. I think he's right, but I'm not the trade expert, and I'm not the fucking journalist. So show us how he's wrong. And if what was I going to say? And yeah, and he might be wrong on some details. Of course, like there's a whole penguin story, I don't know if you guys saw, where he imposed 10% tariff on an island, or I forgot how many percent it was, on an island that is only inhabited by penguins. And there's some really fun memes going on around that. So it's not perfect, but he's getting shit done, and he's actually moving, like he's making, I think, really, really smart, really good changes. So anyway, so President Trump has plunged his own president into embarrassing chaos. Again, they're just stipulating that. Like, embarrassing to whom? Chaos to whom? Right? Plunged his own presidency. Like, I don't think that that's what's happening at all. I think it's a really smart strategic move. And he's talked about tariffs for 30 years, and he's negotiating. He's negotiating, and he's seeing who's a friend and who's a foe and all that stuff. Again, I don't have reason to believe that that's not what's happening. Right? I don't know. I'm not in his mind. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's like complete chaos and it's embarrassing. The embarrassing word is a really interesting one, right? Because what is it like? Embarrassment is like, I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed, right? It's an internal thing. I did something, oh, that was embarrassing. So that requires them being mind readers and knowing what's actually in Trump's mind. And he doesn't seem embarrassed to me. He seems emboldened. He seems like great. He's like, yeah, this worked. We're moving on. So it's apparently embarrassing to the person who writes this, because I would say one interpretation could be this person has no backbone, no balls, no courage, no gumption, no guts. And so for them to do something that is something they really believe in, based on their convictions, based on what they believe is right, and something that is outside of the norm, that has a chance to actually rewrite history and make a grand change for something better, but that is going to attract ridicule from a lot of people, which it did, that this person, whoever wrote this, doesn't have the balls to do that. That's what that tells me. Like low T, basically. Like shitty leader, like no balls. All right? That's what I read when I see this. And again, like, I don't know that for a fact, but like, why would you use the word embarrassing other than like, it would be embarrassing to you because you don't have the courage to do something that people are going to ridicule you for, knowing full well that what you're doing is really it's on point. Yeah. All right. No president in recent American history has created so much trouble and unrest in both the United States and the world in such a short time. Well, I mean, is that good or bad? Like, is that good or bad? Like, was the status quo so fucking amazing? I mean, the U.S. was like barreling towards complete bankruptcy, and like, they've just been printing money. All growth has been from printed money and government hires, and people are dying of fentanyl and opioids, and like, if you travel around the country to like even in New York City, one of the top centers, like, the roads are garbage shit. There's garbage everywhere. There's people smoking weed everywhere. There's like homeless people everywhere. Like, and then you go outside of the city, you go a little bit upstate or out in the countryside, and like, these cities are decimated. It's not in a good place, guys. And we could be in a beautiful place. Autism and chronic disease is through the roof, and healthcare costs are through. Like, no, we're not in a fucking good place. And Europe is not either. European economic growth is like so non-existent. There's so many barriers to entrepreneurship and to creating things. There's like the whole immigration thing, which is like, what the fuck are you guys thinking? Like, these people are not being integrated. They're not bad people. They're just like not being integrated. Look what's happening in Sweden. Like, what are you guys thinking? Like, you can't even protect like trade routes against Houthis in Yemen. Like Europe doesn't have the capacity to do that, apparently. Europe as a whole doesn't have the capacity. You have the military to fucking do anything in Ukraine if you wanted to. Like, who are you? You're weak. We are weak, right? So, and then you're like bitching about Trump. Like, look, don't throw with stones when you live in a fucking glass house, all right? Like, fix your own shit. Fix your own shit. I think one of the big differences between Europe and the new America First America is a fixed versus a growth mindset. I really think it comes down to that. And I bet you've probably heard that before. There was a book many years ago by Carol Dweck about the fixed versus growth mindset. The fixed mindset, here, let's just look at this, believes that intelligence and talents are innate and fixed. And I would add, in this case, believes that the pie is fixed in size. Like, this is as good as it's going to get. We like the lifespan is this much. We make this much money. We have this much innovation. We have this much disease or this much health, and like this is how it is. We just got to manage it. In America, there's the talk of managed decline. Well, the American empire has peaked, and now it's just about managing the decline. And then like there's going to be a new superpower. It's probably going to be China, maybe India, and I just don't buy that at all. Like I think it's completely in your mind. So the growth mindset believes that intelligent talents can be developed through hard work, learning, and perseverance. Like you can actually get smarter and you can get better at stuff and you can grow the economy. Is there any limit to how much you can grow the economy? No, there's not. There's none. All right, so I'll leave it for now. There's no limit to how good you can make life. I don't think there's any innate upper limit to how long we can live, how healthy we can be, how prosperous we can be. Right? There's the golden age is something that's possible for us, but Europe's like, no, guys. Like, this is it. We're just gonna we're gonna set it here like a thermostat. This is the level. We're fine here. Like, stop all this nonsense. It's creating trouble and unrest. All this growth stuff. No, it's too much change. We can't handle it. All right. That I think is the fundamental disconnect here. And I think it's like Tony Robbins says, you either grow or you die. And I think Europe has chosen death. I think it's pretty obvious that Europe has chosen death. We're like, yeah, we're just going to like die. And America was doing that. America was choosing death. And then Trump is like, fuck no. Fuck no. Again, he grew up, his pastor was Norman Vincent Peale, the father of positive thinking. So he's like, no, actually, no. Actually, can we just say, actually, no. I'm not going to like die. Hey, I just had this idea. Maybe I could do this. Can I do this green screen thing? That could be kind of fun. Where is that this guy? What if I do this? Green screen. Oh, not green screen, but just like automatic. Maybe it can't do that. I have to actually have a green screen behind me. Never mind. All right. Screw that. Yeah. So he's like, no, like whatever we can imagine, we can create. Like, that's my spiritual belief. Whatever you can see in your mind's eye and desire, you can actually create. And the European mindset seems to be, nah. Stop imagining shit. Like, this is enough. Like, stop. No, you're rocking the fucking boat. Stop it. Just stop it. Just chill. It's too much fucking trouble and unrest with you, rowdy, like, want a fucking growth mindset. Oh, it's like, it's embarrassing. Right? That's what I read. That's what I see when I see this. We're just one paragraph in. The picture of total chaos. All right. So now again, they're assuming total chaos, or it could be according to plan. Because actually, they told you kind of this was the plan, and then they did it, and they're like, oh my God, it's total chaos. No, this was actually the plan. The picture of total chaos is cemented by the spectacular retreat in the U.S. trade war against the world. Cemented. So it's like, this is like, okay, the picture is not just a picture of total chaos. It's cemented, guys. It's cemented. It's like, boom, it's there. Like, it's not moving anywhere. It's like set in fucking stone and cement. The spectacular retreat in the U.S. trade war against the world. No, like, again, he's done this a million times, right? He did that with what was it? With who was it? Who was like Colombia? He wanted to take back some foreign nationals or whatever, or their citizens, and he was like, yeah, tariffs on you guys. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll take them. It's like, or was it Venezuela? I forget. And he was like, all right, good, we'll take them back. So. Also, like, if the people are telling us that tariffs are going to be paid by the consumer, if the tariffs are being paid by the consumer, why are these other countries so upset about the fucking tariffs? Why do they give a fuck, right? If they're paid by the American consumers, of course, that's a lie. It's a complete fucking lie. You're just being lied to so much. Anyway, so now it's a spectacular retreat in the trade war, or it's like, hey, it worked. And now it's time for a pause in negotiation. What he said, it was that practically every country in the world has approached America. They're like, yeah, we're not going to impose like, you know, retaliatory tariffs. It's a mouth tongue twister. We're not going to impose retaliatory tariffs. We're just going to let you, we're going to come and negotiate. Like we want to negotiate. Let's have a conversation about that. The one country that didn't was China. So it served its purpose. And so of course he's going to pull them back. It's just like common sense if you have common sense. But if you need to twist yourself into a pretzel in order to make Trump an idiot, then you got to argue somehow that it's total chaos and it was a spectacular retreat. And then the next one, Trump will probably try to sell his retreat as a grand victory in some way. Like look at the gall of these fucking morons. Like they don't understand shit other than I'm supposed to hate Trump. So now I need to interpret anything that he does as him being a fucking moron, which only makes you a moron. Like it does. Like it's just an idiot. Maybe a useful idiot. Maybe you're being paid to do this. Again, what was his name? Ulf Kotze? What was the German? I asked Grok about this the other day, right? German, let's see if we have the here. German Udo Ulfkotze. Look at Udo Ulfkotze. Let's go Amazon. Udo Ulfkotze, journalist for hire, prostitutes. You know, I should buy this. I did buy this book. There you go. Prostitutes. I didn't read it, but yeah, embedded in the pay of the CIA. Like this happens all the time, all over Europe. So chances are that whoever wrote this is that. Because the CIA doesn't want America to thrive because the CIA is its own, it's like, the CIA is like the blob. It's like its own, you know, criminal cartel. Is invested in the mafia and Drangheta in Italy. It's like the Mexican cartels, whatever. Like it's all one organized crime blob. That's our enemy. And chances are that these people are paid by that enemy. That's the reality of it, right? And they don't want a strong America that is standing up for itself under strongly. Like, why do you think that someone was trying to murder Trump and those someones that tried to murder Trump had all these weird connections and they're all to deep state and there's all these weird things that happen and like, then it was just buried. We never found out who the fuck did it. Why do you think that happened? Right? So anyway, so back to the story. That interpretation would only prevail among his most diehard supporters or people who have brains and can think, right? Who doesn't, you know, isn't paid by the CIA and organized crime. I don't know, maybe. So now they're saying that if you see this as a victory in some way, then you are a diehard supporter, which most people don't want to be. Like a diehard Trump supporter is at this stage kind of like being called a racist, right? It's kind of like, here, I'm trying to close this window. How to close this window? There you go. It's kind of like being called a racist. Like it's like a social stigma. We don't want that. So it's like a subtle dig at people who might just contemplate for a second, thinking for themselves here. Cause like, no. Yeah, that will just make you a diehard supporter, racist, homophobe, transphobe, Islamophobe, anti-Semite, whatever, and a conspiracy theorist, right? Because everyone else can see that Trump blinked only when the US economy was moving close to the economic and financial abyss. What the fuck are you talking about? He didn't blink. He was just like, all right, this initial phase has served its purpose. Everybody's coming to us to negotiate except China. So now we know who's a friend and who's an enemy. Like, yeah, all right. Rhetorically, Trump's point is suddenly that China is the enemy of the world, not just the United States. Like, duh, of course they are. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Of course they're the enemy of everybody. It's not like they're an equal opportunity stealer and cheater and liar and suppressor and dictatorial totalitarianists, right? Like they don't give a fuck. No. Yes, of course, the US is the current global hegemon and they're the biggest threat to America in that way, but they're just as much a threat to Europe Like, why wouldn't they be? The only reason they wouldn't be is because Europe is like an economic dump. Like, they don't know how to create anything. There's no innovation, so there's nothing for China to steal from Europe. But other than that, they are an enemy of Europe, right? And then there's this guy. I don't know who this is. Michael Olai Milhoy, Stern Capital What, I don't know who the fuck this person is. Like a random dude in Capital, and yeah, I don't know what the fuck, man. Trump folded. That was that trade war. I mean, sure, this rando might think of that, but chances are that he thinks that because he's been programmed by the media for years and years, right? So it's like, and this is what I want you to really get. Like, this becomes the frame, the lens that you see everything through. It's like you have colored glasses and now you see everything through that lens. And you don't stop to think, well, is that really true? Is it really true? Like, it might not be. For the next 90 days, the battlefield is the uncontrollable trade war between China and the United States, which has ended at a point where tariffs are so high that it'll bring trade between the world's two largest economies to standstill. Maybe. Companies around the world that export to the United States will become increasingly desperate in the coming days when they have to impose 125% tariffs on all or parts of mobile phones, headphones, and all the other high-tech equipment that flows in and out of intricate value chains to the United States for over $100 billion each year. Yeah, so there are costs to this, right? But do you understand how fucking dire the situation is or was? Like, could it have been handled better? This is one of the favorite things that people who oppose Trump do is they nitpick. They're like, oh, I agree with the idea, but couldn't we have done it just a little bit different? Like, it's like, well, that wasn't on the fucking menu, right? It was either Kamala or Trump. Trump is not a perfect vessel. Kamala sure isn't a perfect vessel either. Even though, have you seen this, like, how Europeans would have voted in the US election? We have this, yeah, this graph here. Well, look at that graph, right? So this is who would have voted for Harris and who would have voted for Trump. And look who's winning this race. Denmark is winning the race. 96% for Harris, 4% for Trump. Now, you can interpret this one of two ways. There might be 17 ways to interpret it, but two obvious ways is Danes are so much smarter and more insightful than, like, how many votes did Trump get in 2024? Council on Foreign Relations. All right. Not my favorite trusted source. Let me ask Grok. If you know CFR, Council on Foreign Relations, it's not a good thing. But anyway, I'm sure they have the right numbers. But let's just ask here. So 77 million Americans. So 90% of Danes are smarter than and better informed than 77.3 million Americans. Because we're just so smart. We're just such good people. We're so well informed. We're literate. We read the papers, the newspaper, the Berlingske, which tells us what to do straight from the CIA, right to my ears and eyes. Like, I know what's happening in the world. I really do. Oh my God. I should just run the world. I should just run the world because I know better than everybody. I'm so smart. That's one option. The other is that Danes are so brainwashed by their media and they're so dumb that they still fucking believe what they read in the media. So maybe they're not so smart. I don't know. Those are two possible interpretations of these numbers. I don't know which it is. I think what it comes down to is how does Denmark fare on the global corruption index? I think here's a clue. This is a clue. Denmark has a score of 90 out of 100, making it the least corrupt country in the world for the 7th consecutive year, right? So I don't know if it is. There might be stuff that's happening that we don't know of, but like overall, like Denmark seems to be very, very low corruption. And so I think it's so hard for most Danes to believe that America is as corrupt as it is, despite all the evidence. Like, just, I don't know, look at COVID, right? Like, look at JFK. Like, it's not hard to see, but it's just like, it's almost like there's this like mental block that makes people not be able to see the thing, the obvious thing right in front of their eyes. Like, no, like this is just deeply corrupt. Like, it's run by pedophiles, controlled with blackmail. Like, it's no, like this shit's not good. And what you see on the surface is not what's actually happening. And that's the story that these powers want you to believe. Like, that's what's happening. So I think those two facts are related. I think that's why Danes vaccinated to such a high degree, why nobody rebelled against the mandates and the masks and like all that shit. They just shut down their businesses and just obliged like good little children without thinking, because they're like, no, they can't be that evil. But I'm here to tell you, yeah, they can be that evil. They totally can't be that evil. They really can be that evil. So I'm going to leave this article here. I think it's just so fun. It's just so dumb. It's just so dumb. And Thomas, who the fuck is this guy? Thomas Bernd Henriksen. Who is this guy? That's not him. Oh, that is him. Oh, look at that pompous fucking ass. Like, just look at his photo. Look at this guy's. Oh God, this is hilarious. So this is the guy. This is the guy that you look at this guy. Does that guy? I mean, yes. I mean, obviously, this guy, he knows so much. Like, actually, we should just make him emperor of the fucking world. We should just make him emperor of the world. He actually looks like Xi a little bit, doesn't he? He looks like Xi Jinping just a little bit. Maybe just make this guy the emperor of the world, because clearly he knows. Just look at his eyes, the way he's looking, his lips, his mouth. Yeah. I never make mistakes. I am never confused about anything. I never make any mistakes. I am always right on point. I have the answer. I have the truth. It's not negotiable. This is what it is. And also, thank you for the check, CIA. Thank you for the check. I appreciate that. I think it's to live a good life with my wife, my kids, my little house in Ellerville, or wherever the fuck he lives. Yeah. I don't know. These people are not smart people, right? You don't, these people are not good people. They're not honest people. They're not smart people. I don't know this person. Maybe he's good and honest and smart, but generally journalists are not smart people. They're not good people. They're not honest people. They're not looking out for you. They're not trying to inform you. They're trying to weaponize you. They're trying to manipulate you they're trying to tell you what to believe so that you can fight their fight for them, which is not really their fight. They're just useful idiots, but they're other people's fights. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. Smell the roses. See what's actually going on here. It's not pretty. It hurts. I remember when I went through my awakening period, it was like, it's shocking. You're like, oh my fucking God. Like, I thought I knew how the world worked, and it's just like, none of it's fucking true. It's all the Truman Show. It's all theater. It's all just cart of lies. Cart of lies. I don't know what that, how's it lies? I don't know. Mixing of metaphors. It's all just smoke and mirrors. It's all just man behind the curtain. And then you realize we're just being run by little fucking kids that don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they're usually scared or blackmailed or both, or just evil, hurt people. Like, they're not impressive people. The more that I heal my shit and, squash my mind bugs, as you may have heard me talk about, the more I realize all of these people that I used to look up to, they're not that impressive. And one person that actually is, and I like, this is going to give me a lot of trouble. One person that continues to impress me is actually Donald Trump. I actually find him really fucking impressive. He won the fucking presidency 3 times against all odds, and he's not perfect, and he says some crazy shit, and he's like does some crazy shit, but he's kind of pretty fucking impressive. Like if you really look into him, look into his relationship with Michael Jackson, look into his what he's done, just like generosity throughout the years that he hasn't like particularly boasted about or taken credit for, like other people who tell a story of like how just his random acts of kindness through many years. Look into his old clips where he talks about US politics and how he looks. Like, look at the guy. To me, he's love personified. He's love personified. And it's really fascinating because I got an email the other day from a friend of mine, actually. It was like on his email list. Let me see here. Let me try to get it. What are we doing here? Here. From Vishen at Mind Valley. Some of you guys may know Vishen Lakiani at Mind Valley. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's interesting. Vishen is a good guy. Borders are BS. Da 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 da. And then he talks. By the way, he says borders are BS, but he still has 5 houses, and I bet that he locks those houses. I'm not sure, but I would imagine that he locks them. Like, why? Oh, borders are bad, but I should have locks on my house. Okay, great. Why do we leave in borders? And then, like, in short, we fear. Like, that's a claim. Or it could be that we fear, but it could also be that we love, right? Maybe it's that we love the people who are in our realm. My job as a man is to protect my family, right? My wife and my dog and my kids. And that's my job as a man, my company, my team. My job is to protect them. Would my wife feel more safe without locks on the door? I don't think so. I think she feels more safe with locks on the door. That's my job, is to make her feel safe. It's part of my job. It's part of my responsibility. And it's not because I'm scared that I do that. It's because I love. It's because I love her. And her programming, women are wired differently. All women, Tony Robbins does this thing where he's like, have all the guys who have like raise their hand if they felt fear in the past month, if they felt scared for their life in the past month, and like nobody raised their hand, and there's like 3 months, and then like maybe someone who's a soldier in Iraq or whatever. I'm dating, but anyway, maybe someone who's like in a war zone somewhere, like raise their hand, or they're like in some special situation, they will raise their hand, but most people know. And then he asked the women, and like pretty much like literally everybody, 80-90% of the women have felt scared for their life just in the past 24 hours. It's massive. It's how we're wired. It's like women know that they have something really precious, a punani, for example, that men want, and they go fucking bonkers for it. They're just completely irrational when it comes to this. And so they're wired to be more afraid, and it's not good or bad or wrong. It's just how they're wired, and it's our job to make them feel safe. And one of the ways we do that is with walls around a fucking house and some locks on the door so that they can feel safe, right? And that when this is something my wife taught me, when the bell rings, like she feels a lot safer if I'm the one that goes to open the door. Even though we live in the doorman building and like no one's just going to randomly come up here, still just makes her feel more safe. And I respect that. I don't think it's a flaw. I don't make her wrong for that. Right? But I think that's our job, is to do things that make people feel safe. And we don't do it out of fear. We do it out of love. And so again, it's this frame of reference where you can postulate that it's coming from fear. But when I look at Trump, I see love. I see someone who fucking loves. He loves his country. He loves his people. He loves his family. He loves his voters. They love him in turn. I see love. Right? But this guy, this man that we just looked at before, this man looks at Trump and he sees asshole, idiot, embarrassment. Which is more loving? Looking at Trump and seeing love, or looking at Trump and being like, can you see like the vitriol in his eyes? Like, that's what I read there. This guy's fucking pissed. Maybe like whatever childhood issues, he never got respect from his father. Maybe he was beat by his father. Maybe he was, he was ridiculed. He was bullied in school. And so when he sees Trump, that reminds him of the bullies, and then he gets really fucking angry because he hasn't healed his shit. I don't know. I'm just making shit up here. I don't know this person. But I'm just inviting you to consider that maybe Trump actually represents love. And the people like this guy who is fighting him and is training, programming you how to think about Trump is actually coming from evil or fear or hate or just hurt. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not inside this guy's mind. I'm not inside Trump's mind. I don't know. But just consider the possibility. All right? Stop. My invitation is to stop thinking that you know what's true for certain and just start considering other options. Could that be as true or truer? Ultimately, we cannot know. We have no way of knowing, right? Like, got back to David Hume, and I talk about this in my book. We can do this. Ultimately, we cannot know anything with certainty. And that's an important realization because it brings you freedom. It brings you freedom from the tyranny of your own opinions. Your own opinions are going to have you like, no, this is the way it is. And then, you get, there's anger there. There's anger and there's fear. There's defensiveness. Like, this is true. This is what's true. It must be true. It must be right. And you argue against it, for it, against others. And as Byron Katie likes to say, defense is the first act of offense. Like, you defending your position, your opinions is actually an act of offense. It's an offensive act versus like, I don't know, this is how I see it. I could be wrong, but this is how I see it. That's generosity. You're offering your perspective. But you don't have to defend it because your opinions are not you. Your perception of a reality is not you. It's separate from you. There's you who is an internal being who's pure awareness, pure spirit, consciousness. And you can observe all these things out in the world and inside of you. And ultimately, all we can observe is inside of you because all of the outside world is registered inside of us through our senses. And that's actually what we're seeing. And what you realize is that everything that you see is actually a projection of what's inside your mind. So if you look at Trump like this guy, if you're this guy and you look at Trump and you see childish, embarrassment, chaos, like that's in here. That's in your mind. That's in your mind. It's not in my mind. I see something else. What you see in the world is a projection of your mind. It speaks about what's in your mind, not about what's out there. And so when you're reading the news, recognize that what you're seeing is a projection of the person who's writing it, not the truth. Same as here. Like, I'm not saying that my version is the truth. I'm just offering you another version that I think is as true or actually a lot more true. But how the fuck am I supposed to know? I'm just a human being. Like, it might be a whole other layer that I haven't discovered that's like really pulling the strings behind the scene and we're all being played. Like, sure, I don't know. But just consider, start thinking critically, start thinking creatively even, curiously. Be curious and come from a place of love. That's my invitation too. Like, love all of it. Nothing's wrong. Everything is exactly as it should be. Find peace with it. All right. I'm going to wrap up here and then I'm going to jump to the next chapter in my book. So I'm going to do a new stream here, live stream. But I invite you to jump on that one as well so we can get to the next chapter, which is going to be it's going to be values. So I'm going to do values next. And then I think that'll be it for today. But yeah, this is fun. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm having a lot of fun sharing this and talking about this. It's so important, guys, that we start to recognize, see behind the surface of all of this. Yeah. Some fundamental truths. Let me see. I'm just looking at the book to say, yeah, it's so important that we start to question some of these beliefs, some of the things that we've been taught, because it's creating pain inside of you, right? Like, a lot of my friends back home in Denmark are obsessed with America, and they're scared that Trump is going to take them into a third world war or something. Like, they're scared of what's going to happen. Now, Putin's going to invade Denmark. Like, they're actually living in fear. And what does that do when you're living in fear? It creates stress in your system. It releases cortisol and epinephrine, or adrenaline as they call it in Europe, and that creates disease. So the media is actually making you sick, which is great because then Big Pharma can charge money for the medicine that masks the symptoms so you can stay sick and keep taking medicine, and they can make a lot of money. They don't care about you. You're not important to them. Right? You're just collateral damage in their desire for whatever the fuck is going on in their lives. All right. With that, I'm going to wrap. Here we go. See you guys tomorrow. I'm going to do this again. It's fun. Bye-bye.